Hey everyone, so I've decided to make a video on working on your project offline. So just to show you how you can do that, how it will be slightly different when you're working offline, we'll go through a few examples, and then how you can get your project back onto Glitch if you want to do so, okay? The reason I'm making this is Glitch has been acting up a bit, for me at least anyway, lately. The previous video that I recorded, I had to start again about 20 times because it's just been kind of coming and going the whole time. So I'm guessing that this is the reason. I see that they're kind of advertising a new glitch coming soon, so it seems like they're doing a lot of maintenance in the background at the moment. That's what I'm going to put it down to anyway, because it's generally hasn't been like this in the past. But between that and obviously a lot of people working from home, I don't know how people's internet connections are and things like that. So it might be very useful for you to know how to work on your project offline at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to go through the steps from downloading it to working with it offline to uploading it back onto Glitch if you do want to move from offline back to online again. Okay, so the steps for downloading the project we have in Lab 3A, I think, and you've probably all done this since you've done it for your first assignment as well. But go into Tools on Glitch, click on Download Project, and then save your downloaded project. And then you will need to unzip that. So in 7-zip, if you go in and click on Open Archive, double click in there and click on the app folder and then click extract. And you can choose your location there. I'm just going to stick with downloads. Don't worry about this message here. You can just click close to that, okay? So whatever unzipping utility you're using, what you're aiming to have in the end is this app folder. Okay, so just look out for that. And then within your app folder, you should see all of these files here. So some of the folder names will look familiar from what you're used to on Glitch, like controllers, models, views, and so on. Okay. Next, then you can navigate to this folder in a command prompt. I normally click in the address bar up here and just copy the location because it's sort of the quickest way to get to it. So open up a command prompt and type in cd and paste in the full path to the app folder. For this next step, you will need to have Node installed. Okay, so Node.js is the application that this is going to run on. You can check if it's installed on your computer by clicking the magnifying symbol here and just start assuming your Windows, by the way. Sorry, can only demo this on Windows. Type Node.js in here and you'll see if it's installed or not, okay? There's a link to it in Lab 3A or just Google it either, okay? But you will need that installed in order to do this next step. So the next step is to type in here npm install. So this installs your app as an app that can run. If you try to run npm install, by the way, in a folder that doesn't have a package.json file in it, you'll get an error. Okay, so that's one common thing, like maybe trying to run it here in this folder rather than directly within the app folder. Okay, so when it's installed successfully, you should see some output like this. And then to start the app, type npm start. The npm install step, you'll generally only have to do that one time. Unless you install any new packages in your package.json file, then you might need to reinstall. But npm start you'll need to do every time you want to start up your app. Okay. Then you should see a message to say your app is listening on port something. It might be 4000 if you have, if you've copied our server.js file, it probably will be 4000. But if it's a different number, I'll show you now what we're going to type in here is localhost 4000 if it's 4000. So if it's a different port number, just replace the 4000 with whatever number you're given. And here then you should see your app is running, and you should be able to do all the things here locally that you can do when it's on Glitch. Okay, so log in, and any data that was already in the app on Glitch should be copied across, and you should be able to look at it here as well. Why it's being so slow, actually. It's normally a little bit faster when you run it locally. Let's see what happens anyway. When you're working locally as opposed to in Glitch, this console or command prompt window here will kind of behave as your logs and your terminal normally do. Okay, so you'll see messages come up here as you sort of navigate through the app. I'm wondering here if maybe I didn't have Homer in. Just going to close this and go back into it again. Or maybe I'll restart it actually. To stop the app running, you type Control and C on your keyboard. Oh look, now it's come up with logging in twice. Okay, I'm still going to stop it and start it again. So Control C, you'll see this message come up, terminate batch job, and type a Y to say yes, and then type npm to start it up again. Okay. Okay, so that's much faster this time. Hopefully the logging in will be the same. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so like I said, everything that was on Glitch will be here now as well. You should be able to do all the things you'd normally do in here. Okay, I just want to do a few things there so that I can show you what happens in the log here. So like I said, this kind of acts like your log has in Glitch. So what you're sort of used to in Glitch, there'll be little messages going in here wherever we have a message going to the log, the logger.info lines, to show the start page is rendering, the dashboard page, the about page, and so on. We added an image there, so this is the result coming back from Cloudinary, and so on. Okay, so you can kind of use your command prompt there as your log when you're working offline. Next, then I'm just going to make a couple of changes in the app, so just to show you how you can work with your files when you're offline. So open it up in any text editor, whatever text editor you prefer to use really. I'm going to open it with Code. That's the one I'm kind of prefer the most at the moment anyway. But any text editor should have an option here where you can open the files down the side, and that's quite handy because it's sort of what you're used to now from Glitch. Okay, so you'll see more or less down the side here the file names and so on that you're used to seeing. So things like our controllers folder, and all our controllers are in there. Our models folder, all our usual model files in there, and the same for views, layouts, partials, and so on. Okay, so it gives you kind of a similar structure to what you've been used to from Glitch. You'll see some extra files in there, things like this .config folder up here. There's some stuff that's kind of hidden in the background on Glitch that you'll be able to see here. But generally, if it's a file that you're not used to seeing on Glitch, then don't mess with it because it's some kind of background configuration thing. Okay, so we are going to make a change now in Start.js. I'm just going to add something in the controller and something in the view. And what I want to just show you here is that if you add or make any changes in your controllers, then you need to stop your app and restart it again. This is one of the kind of downsides of working offline. Working online on Glitch is a little bit more convenient because anytime you make a change like that, it's in the background, it's already doing that for you. It's, you know, stopping the app, restarting it again every time you make a change, which is handy. But then again, it has its downsides, like Glitch doesn't always work, or you don't always have a good internet connection or whatever. Okay, so in here, I'm just going to add in Start.js, the view data object. I'm just going to add a property in here called message. I'm an offline project. Okay, so changes in the controllers or the modeled controllers like playlist store.js or user store.js in particular. Anytime you make a change in any of those files, you're going to need to restart the app again. Before I do that, I'm just going to make a change here in start HBS. So I want to display that message that I just created somewhere. I'm just going to add another heading after this one and pop that message in there as a handlebars expression, so the double curly brackets around it. Okay. Okay, and just to show you there that that change won't take effect until you've stopped and restarted again. Being slow again. Okay, I don't know why that's taking more time than normal. I'm just going to give it a second. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and stop the app and restart it again. So as before, stopping the app. Now it logged in. Of course it did. Of course it did. Let me see then. On where was it? Start, I think. Yeah, start is where I added that message, and as you can see, it does not show up there. Okay, so Control C to stop the app. Sometimes you need to press it a couple of times. And yeah, and then type a Y normally as well. Okay, and then npm start to start it up again. And I'll just refresh this here. It stays logged in. That's another pro actually, because it's so annoying having to enter your credentials every time you want to test something. It stays logged in when you're working locally. But you can see after a restart now that message is showing up here. Okay. One other thing I want to show you is if you make an error, let me just go back to code here. So if you make an error somewhere, some kind of error, I suppose, that's going to actually stop your app from working. On Glitch, when you make an error like that, you kind of find out straight away because it comes up in the log and it will tell you, okay? But here it won't do that because as you saw there, it's not restarting the app after every change that you make. So it's another bit of a downside, I suppose. You might not realize until a bit later that you've actually made an error that's broken your app and have to kind of go back and figure it out. Okay, so I suppose if you are going to work offline, it's probably a good idea to get used to restarting after every change you make, which I know is probably a little bit of a pain, but It's probably the best thing to do. Okay, so I'm going to just make a change in here, like leave out something in server.js, and that will definitely cause an error. But my app will keep working fine at the moment, like I said, until you restart. Okay, so I'm going to just restart again. And if there is an error that's stopping your app from working, you'll see when you try to start it that the error will show up at that stage. Okay, so you'll see in the log here, then it'll point to a specific file, server.js in this case, and a line number as well. May not always be exactly the line number where the error actually is, of course, but in this case it is. So I can just go back and fix that. Okay, once that's fixed, then it should start up okay again. Okay, so you can see it started there. So those were the things really I wanted to show you when that you kind of need to be aware of when working offline. The other thing then is, if you have decided to work offline and you've worked offline for a while and now you want to go back to working on Glitch again, how to get all of your changes that you've made onto Glitch. You might have noticed in here there's no kind of upload project equivalent to the download project. So what you need to do is well, actually, sorry, I should say one thing you could do is go through file by file and copy and paste in any changes that you've made. So it kind of depends on how many changes you've made. If it's more than a few, that would be a massive pain, obviously. So there is another way, which is to use GitHub instead. So you create a repository on GitHub, add your project to that, and then do the import from GitHub step. So I'll show you the steps for that now. There's a few steps. It's not too difficult, I suppose, once you know what you need to do. But if you have only made one or two small changes offline, it might be just as easy to copy and paste them across. Okay. So for these steps, you're going to need to use GitHub, or Git, I should say. So you can install Git on your computer, or there's an application which makes Git a little bit easier to use, which is GitHub Desktop, and it looks like this, as you see here. So I'm going to just show you how to do it using GitHub Desktop. Okay, so you can just do a Google search for that yourselves and install it. It's easy enough to install. So what we want to do then is create a repository with all the files in this app folder. So in GitHub Desktop, go to File and click on Add Local Repository. Then click Choose here and choose your folder that you're looking for. So mine is here in, actually, sorry, I should probably just click on the app folder, and it will select all the files within that then. So click on Select Folder and click on Add Repository. Okay, so in here then it should show, in this case we've got 2,763 files. That's basically all the files. Okay, when you're using GitHub, there's kind of two stages normally that you need to do. So there's commit kind of it commits the changes, but only locally. What you will also need to do is to publish it to GitHub, which is the online version of Git. Okay, so the two steps you need to do, like I said, commit first of all. So down here you need to type in a description of this commit, and I might just call it initial commit of project, and then click on commit to master. Master is the name that they give to what's called the branch of the project. There's lots of terminology in using Git, and I'm not sure if you've come across it before. but that you can have a number of different branches within your project, and master is kind of like the main branch of your project. Okay, so this first commit, because there's a lot of files, might take a while. If you've only made a few changes, it's probably going to be a bit quicker. And I'll show you actually in a minute, if you do want to make further changes, what you do for that. Okay, I think it's done that. Yes, it has. Okay. And next then, like I said, next step is to actually put this online onto GitHub. So click up here, publish repository to GitHub. You can give it a name. App is possibly not a great name, it's a bit generic, so you might call it something else instead, like something that relates to your project. I'm going to call it offline project. You don't necessarily need to put in a description. I'm going to untick keep this code private because we're going to want to import it into Glitch. So I think it being private might interfere with that. Okay. So then click publish repository. And again, it might just take a second here because it's publishing a lot of files in that first commit. Okay, I'm just going to go to GitHub now. I think you probably all have a GitHub account at this stage. So when you go to github.com and log in, I think sometimes it lists your repository straight away here in the middle, but if not, go over here and click on your repositories, and you should see here the one you've just created. Okay, if you click into it, you can see the files and so on as well if you want. All right, and so then this is the one that we want to import into Glitch. So back here in Glitch, I'm going to just create a new project and call it Hello Web Page. I'm just going to call it offline project import. Oh. There we go. Okay. Right, and this part I suppose you're probably used to because you may have done it as we go through the labs. Go down to tools, go to import and export, import from GitHub, and then it's going to be your username / the name of your repository. So in my case, it's orbernie / actually you can see it in the tab up here as well when you're in that repository on GitHub. So if you're not sure, that's where you can kind of see exactly what you should be typing. So orbernie / offline - project. Okay, and the change that I made while it was offline, I might just check that that is there, and you can see it is there. Okay, so the message I'm an offline project is there. Okay, so that's basically it. I just also want to show you, if you do make further changes after that and you want to kind of go through those steps again, be a little bit different the second time around. So I'll just make a change here in with another change. Okay. So when you make some changes locally and then you go back to your project in GitHub Desktop, you'll see here in this changes tab that it shows you that now you have made one change. Okay, so it'll show you there's one changed file, and you can, again, same steps now really as before. Okay, so in here put a message that relates to what you've just done. So say added to start.js. Click commit to master again. Then this time it will say push origin instead of publish to GitHub. So, but it's the same thing. Click on this. Once it's done, there we go. Once it's done, you should be able to see that change come through on GitHub as well. Yeah, and you can see there added to start.js is showing up now next to start.js and 25 seconds ago. And then you would need to import it into here as well. So again, there are a few steps. It's definitely a trade-off between working on offline and having to do these extra steps versus any issues that Glitch might be having. I don't know why that one has gone wrong actually. Just gonna try it again. Okay, hang on one sec. Let me just try that in a new project. Okay, no, I'm not really sure why that happened, but yeah, perhaps it needs to be a new project. No, I don't. Anyway, I don't know why that happened there. It could be just by chance. I'm pretty sure I've done, you know, repeated imports into non-new projects before. But anyway, if that happens to you as well, just try a new project and that should work. Okay, so hopefully that's everything you need to know for working offline. Probably a lot of you won't need to do this at all, okay, if everything's going well on Glitch, which hopefully it will. But yeah, so those are the steps involved. If you have any further questions or run into any issues with any of that, just get in touch with myself or Brenda or Mary. Okay, best of luck with that and with your assignment as well.